Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, Forza Sim Racing on YouTube. And today's video has kind of been covered by quite a few people already, and I just want to sort of go through my experiences of the safety rating on Assetto Corsa Competizione. And you know, since I've basically been self-isolated from the world, although I think everyone else pretty much is now, I've done a lot of racing and I've sort of experienced over the last couple of days sort of real fluctuation in my safety rating. And I just wanted to go through my experiences of it and how, you know, you guys, if you're following this, can sort of make things better for yourself. And yeah, just because we all want better racing and we all want to race against better people and not these kamikaze guys who are literally just out to destroy you in every which way possible. So if we go into the stats menu, which is here, you see that I'm at 81, which is not too bad, but this has really fluctuated a lot in the last couple of days. But the main thing we need to look at are these two things here, which is trust and OBWP. Long story short, and I want to try to keep this as brief as possible, is trust. So this is quite literally when you're racing against other people, you need to keep it as clean as possible and avoid contacting each other. So if someone goes off in the distance, realistically your trust score is not going to be that much different or change that much because they're no longer anywhere near you. What you want is good clean racing, nothing like touring car, nothing like the British touring car or anything like that where the idea is you hit a door, hit a wing mirror, you know, nudge them into a corner. You don't want anything like that at all. GT3 racing is not about contact sport. It's not a contact sport. So you want to basically, over the course of the race, you want to have a number of battles with a number of drivers. Even if it's literally one or two drivers, if you're literally going backwards and forwards, you take the place, they take it back, and you do that throughout the lap. As long as you keep it clean, your trust score is going to go up. And that's all that matters to this system. Just keep it clean. No contact. And then that sort of leads us on down to OBWP. So you will obviously score OBWP for accidents where you are not guilty. Great, fantastic. So I can be as clean as I want, but if people hit me, I'm gonna get penalties for it. But what it says is that basically it sort of accepts that if you get punted off or you get hit, that your OBWP points will get allocated to you, but not as if you were the suspect. So if you get hit, you're going to get the odd 1 or 2 points, but if you hit someone, you're going to get a lot more for it. To avoid that, you need to be in competitive racing, away from these people who literally smack and hit you up big time, and I'll go into that in a minute. But if we look at my graph here, generally it's relatively consistent. These are like 20-minute races basically that I have, and you'll see that sort of the odd race seems to have some little issues, but on the whole this is probably a good example. It's a 20-minute race. I didn't get hit by anyone, and I didn't hit anyone, so no points there. 31 kilometers and 26 points in trust gained, and that sent me up to 81. However, we obviously have this here, which you can see kilometer wise is not far off, but as soon as that OBWP points get added, the trust sort of dives, so we need to avoid that. These two big spikes here were online races where I basically raced for an hour with some very competitive people whose safety ratings are very high. So you can see that although I got 10 points there and 4 points there for OBWP, the amount of kilometers that I drove, it worked out, and obviously the battles that I had over the course of the hour meant that my trust points just accelerated massively. So to some extent, you want good clean racing where you overtake a number of cars and you keep it clean. And to be honest, if you can do races where they are long, then that is really going to help you. So how do we get clean racing? So 2 things to look at. Well, a number of things actually. Number 1 is single player versus multiplayer. It's a bit like gambling. Multiplayer is the more of the gamble. You get better points and better trust with multiplayer, but you risk getting hit a lot more. Single player, less points, but the AI is just a lot easier on you. No matter how you do the aggression, it really doesn't matter too much, but the AI are just quicker to react to you. They're a bit more afraid of you, whilst in multiplayer mode, people are literally just gun for you. So you've got to weigh up if you want sort of to take longer to get the points, but at least you're going to get them, over you could get a lot more points, but you risk also losing them because you're in multiplayer. So those are the 2 to weigh up. Now, if I just go into here, personally for me, if you want to gain the extra points without too many issues, the following circuits I would say are going to avoid hitting cars. Spa Francorchamps, nice and quite open, quite fast, no real slow corners apart from the sort of the last chicane and the first corner. Paul Ricard again, nice and fast, and then the final one is Monza. Personally for me, I'd stick to the fast circuits. I'd look to avoid places like Brands Hatch, Zolder, Mount Panorama. Although fast, getting to that bit at the top of the hill where you're smacking into barriers and stuff, that's not good. So I'd avoid that. Laguna Seca I'd try and avoid as well. Actually, Suzuka's quite quick. That's sort of a medium circuit. So for me, you're looking at fast circuits where it's just purely down to speed and not many corners, because for me, corners is where people are going to start hitting you off. And then finally, if we go into cars, these are all technically the cars that are available. If you are starting out and you just want to gain those points, don't go for a car that is fragile, that is a car that is literally going to send you straight off into the barrier, or that you're just not happy with the handling. You need something that's consistent, grips the track well, planted and everything like that. And if you're on against the AI, I would look to drive the BMW, the Ferrari, and probably the Nissan GTR. These 3 are very consistent when it comes to driving. They're not tail happy. They're quite point and shoot kind of thing. And those are the 3 I'd probably stick with. Maybe the Bentley could come into that as well. But I would avoid the Huracan and the Porsche and the Audi. Personally, those are the 3 that I'd avoid, because those 3, if the setup's not right, those 3, the rear ends are just very unpredictable. So that's what I would use. So again, those 3 cars, and for the tracks, anything that's basically fast. So if we now look at some races that I've recorded, they will show you sort of what to do or what not to do when it comes to racing. This race had a high safety rating, and you can see how pretty much I can do the first lap without touching anyone at all, and no one basically touches me. And this is the same track, and it's at a lower safety rating, and clearly shows that, well, people just get it wrong time after time. So these are my tips to increase your safety rating on Competizione. Number one is a good stable car, so that you don't go flying off the circuit when you apply the acceleration hard or anything, too drastic like that. Number two is a quick circuit. So literally, we're talking circuits with not a huge amount of corners, not twisty circuits. So Monza, Paul Ricard, etc. are the better ones. Number three, set the AI. You want to set the AI to a point that it's not too easy, but at the same time it's not too hard. So you need to play around with that, work out what's best. You don't want to be flying off and passing everyone, but then at the same time you don't want to be really at the back of the field, not being able to gain any positions at all. I'm running at around 94 at the moment. Number four, avoid contact. It's quite simple, really. Just don't touch anyone. It's easy to say don't let them touch you, but generally, take your foot off the accelerator, back off if you need to, but just avoid touching other cars. Number five is try longer races. So try to go further than 20 minutes. Try to look at the hour races at minimum, because that should basically give you a lot more time for overtaking and a lot more racing, all to be condensed in one race. And number six is it's not all about the winning. So the idea is not to get to the front. If you literally want to increase your safety rating, and that's to some extent all you're worried about, look, and as I say, work on your AI so that you are, say, for example, mid-pack and you've got lots of overtaking going on. Don't just steam off to the front, go, fantastic, I'm first, I'm going to win this race, because one, where's necessarily the fun in that, and two, is you're not going to pass anyone after you get to the front. And then finally, number seven is single player or multiplayer. As previously mentioned in the video, you have to determine whether or not you want less points with the single player mode, but you're going to probably find less problems with the AI, or go with multiplayer, which has potential for more points, but you do risk getting hit, or some people doing some crazy stuff out there. So those are my 7 points. I hope you found this video helpful. Leave your comments in the box below if you've got anything to make, and I'll see you in the future.